Welcome, people. I guess you just came off the live segment to our recorded segment. And where do we begin? Well, today, the State Department had some. Let's just watch this. You'd be. I don't.
Okay.
It has left me speechless. I know you haven't watched it because you just drove home from work, but oh my God.
There's he's Jen Psakiing it right now.
Yeah, well, isn't his okay? Pause. Let's figure out what his role was because he was also in the Obama administration.
Yeah, let's see. Ned Price. God, he's like all time like most punchable face.
Isn't there a German word for this?
Probably. They have a lot
he worked in the CIA.
Oh yeah, no wonder he's such a smarmy motherfucker. He's like Blue MAGA Tom Cotton.
No, he's more like Blue MAGA Mike Pompeo because then he's the spokesperson for the United States State Department.
Yeah, it just like he's like so disciplined, but also such a like vacuous individual. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I thought he was an Obama administration person, but I guess not.
Control F O B A N A. It's the window. This one.
And he's
special assistant to President Barack Obama.
Oh, so I was right. He was an Obama guy. I knew it.
Yeah. Okay. He's a sort of like sociopathic, I guess, like functionary that sort of like floats to the top in the sewer of like our political system.
Yeah.
He's willing to like sociopathically, like shamefacedly lie directly into the camera and be like, "We had nothing to do with that coup in Venezuela."
Did he say that?
Well, no, but I mean, he's like some like Patrick Bateman shit going on, you know.
Oh no, I know. It's kind of funny because Trump was like, "Oh, we're cool." No, oh my God, my favorite Trump moment was when he called Guaido like Beto or of Venezuela.
That's pretty good, yeah.
It's like a spot on observation. Yeah. Okay, so let's watch
he's like
Ned.
Fulfilling the same role.
Thanks. Okay, well, that's quite a mouthful there. So you said actions such as these suggest otherwise, meaning they suggest they're not interested in talks and they're going to go ahead with some kind of what action are you talking about?
One, the actions I've just pointed to. The fact that Russia continues to engage in disinformation.
What disinformation?
That they might do that. Have they actually done it?
What we know, Matt, is what I have just said, that they have engaged in this activity, in this planning activity. But let me because obviously this is not the first time we've made these reports public. You'll remember that just a few weeks ago.
I'm sorry, made what report public?
If you'll let me finish, I will tell you what report we made public. We told you a few weeks ago that we have information indicating Russia also has already prepositioned a group of operatives to conduct a false flag operation.
Yeah. That's basically all that you need to see for the video. You just like
hold on, pause. What did you say?
Oh, I said like that's the gist of the video. You know how you talk about. Okay, that's like the gist of the video right there. Like, you know how you talk about like the
Alex Jones
part of like self-referential things going back to Bandera.
Yeah.
Like, hello, are we good?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, so it's like your point about like the self-reference to like a Nazi or a neo-Nazi or something. It's like he like tried to do a self-citation like on the fly, but like he like failed at it like so fucking hard. It was glorious. The guy's like, you're just saying what you just said.
And the idea of a false flag operation with crisis actors is so outrageous, like, especially because everyone has associated it with Alex Jones, that it just sounds insane to everyone. Yeah. So let's continue.
Well, it's also the exclusive purview of the Western intelligence agencies.
No, know, but it's
They're the only people who've ever been like caught repeatedly doing false flags.
But it's so insane that most people are like, proof. Like, this is like hard to swallow because it's outrageous. Okay, let's continue.
Say that they have taken, but you have shown no evidence to confirm that. And I'm going to get to the next question here, which is, what is the evidence that they play? I mean, this is like crisis actors, really? Alex Jones territory you're getting into now. What evidence do you have to support the idea that there is some propaganda film in the making?
Matt, this is derived.
Wait, in the making. So they're not even made it yet. Kind of like, so, I mean, this is like worse than Saddam Hussein's nuclear warheads that were like always on a train or something.
The US
they didn't even like bother to like fabricate a fucking wagging dog. They like got ahead of themselves on that.
Yeah, like they could have made a Russian.
Why don't Colin Powell do a zombie lab and like?
Yeah, they could have totally made a video where they had Russia. They could have made where they had Russian people do the false flag video and say, this is the false flag video that Russia plans on doing.
Yeah, they could just, what's that, like a double negative, a false flag, a false flag? Is it just a flag? Like, we're doing a flag operation. Does that mean that it's overt? I don't know anymore. I'm so confused.
Well, yeah, they could have it's easy to manufacture a false flag operation, which is like making a video of Russia making a video of them invading. What? Never mind.
That we have declassified. I think you know.
Okay, well, where is it? Where is this information?
It is intelligence information that we have declassified.
Well, where is the declassified information?
I just delivered it.
Series of allegations and statements.
Would you like us to print out the topper? Because you will see a transcript of this briefing that you can print out for yourself.
That's not evidence, Ned. That's you saying it. That's not evidence.
What would you like, Matt?
I would like to see some proof that you can show that
Russia.
You have
shows that the Russians are doing this. Ned, I've been doing this for a long time.
I know, that was my point. You have been doing this for quite a while. You know that when we declassify intelligence information, we do so in a means. We do so. We do with an eye to protecting sources and methods.
Is not going to fall. I remember a lot of things. So where is the declassified information other than you coming out here and saying?
Matt, I'm sorry you don't like the format, but we have declassified.
It's not the format; it's the content.
I'm sorry you don't like the content. I'm sorry you are doubting the information that is in the possession of the U.S. government.
No,
what I'm telling you is that
everyone should be doubting.
To us, we are making it available to you. Couple reasons. One, is to attempt to deter the Russians.
I'm sorry you're doubting the information of the possession of the U.S. government.
Not able to do that in the event the Russians do go ahead with this, to make it clear as day, to lay bare the fact that this has always been an attempt on the part of the Russian Federation to fabricate a pretext.
You don't have any evidence to back it up other than what you're saying. It's like you're saying, we think we have information the Russians may do this, but you won't tell us what the information is. And then when you're asked,
that is the idea behind deterrence, Matt. That is the idea behind deterrence.
And when
it is our hope that the Russians don't go forward with this.
You say, "I just gave it to you." But that's not what
you seem not to understand. You seem not to understand the idea of deterrence. We are trying to deter the Russians from moving forward with this type of activity. That is why we're making it public today. If the Russians don't go forward with this, that is not ipso facto an indication that they never had plans to do so.
But then it's unprovable. I mean, my God, what is the evidence that you have that suggests that the Russians are even planning this?
Matt,
I'm not saying that they're not. But you just come out and say this and expect us just to believe it without you showing a shred of evidence that it's actually true. Other than when I ask, or when anyone else asked, what's the information? You said, well, I just gave it to you, which was just you making a statement.
Matt, you said yourself, you've been in this business for quite a long time. You know that when we make information, intelligence information public, we do so in a way that protects sensitive sources and methods. You also know
what sources?
We do so, we declassify information only when we're confident in that information.
Can I just go in here? So at first, like, this is the thing that got me. At first, he's saying we declassified this information. I'm giving it to you. Now he's explaining why it's not declassified. That was the thing that stuck in my head.
Oh, you're right. He hasn't. No, he's only declassified the fact that Russia is allegedly making a false flag film to blame Ukraine as a pretext. But then he's not.
He's declassifying it. Intelligence sources said.
Yeah, like
that's all that
I'm
he's
sure he can
not
find
actual.
some random kid, like Estonian 13-year-old kid or something. But also the method in which they allegedly found out about it, which it all sounds like insane. And this is, for me, just not the way the Russian government never operates like rashly, if that makes sense. They're very methodical and they planned everything for like 10 years. And it's just, they don't do it.
He's saying what? You don't trust the U.S. government? Like, of
course, you should not.
No.
Every word is a lie.
The U.S. government.
As Kwame Ture says, if the U.S. government has told the truth, it's because they've lied twice.
If you doubt the credibility of the U.S. government, of the British government,
British government.
Find solace in information that the Russians are putting out. That is for you to do.
I'm not asking what the Russian government is putting out, and what is it supposed to be?
That's the thing, is that, to be honest, the Russian government has not actually ever lied to me. I mean, as far as I know.
I mean, I've seen them do like some dumb shit on RT, but it's but that's not an official statement or anything.
Are not like I've never seen them Putin has always insisted that there were no WMDs in Iraq, and it was a sin what the US did in Libya. And I mean, it's just like,
Putin
isn't
as a political figure, he definitely is a stranger shooter.
He doesn't, and so it's
he's like
boring.
He's an economic nationalist in the interest of Russia, but he's like, he understands the history of his region.
He
fucking plays the cards he has.
Exactly. He's not ideological. He's just trying to keep everything together.
Yep. He's competent enough at it. He's I don't know. He's not quite like a George Bush figure, because he's definitely more nationalistic than that. But he has an intelligence and security background, so it's he understands the fuckery that is going to be aimed at him.
Exactly.
That proves to be more durable in terms of people with security work and resisting coups and shit, obviously. But the other thing I was going to say is that the stuff about sources and methods is this is something that Phil Agee, who is a guy who turned on the CIA, talks about a lot, was the Intelligence Identities Protection Act, which was before the Patriot Act. It just criminalized the disclosure of the names and occupations and cover of intelligence agencies, which previously had been you could publish it, but then they just come after you, they'd blackball you, they'd fuck with you, and burn your car up, or fuck with your kids or terrorize you or some shit, but you could legally do it. And then that was the precursor to the Patriot Act, which is of course basically just carte blanche to do whatever you want to your critics. Here's the legalization of a fascist police state, as if we needed any more of it. Go crazy, you guys.
Exactly.
So sources and methods,
we just made this one. I swear they just made it up.
Oh yeah, it's the Iranian Gusano lady who was they're gonna kidnap me on a speedboat. Yeah.
What the fuck? Yeah.
I don't know. It's to me, it's on the level of I heard some anti-North Korean propaganda when I was like in middle school that like really like was the first time I started to like be like, this is just ridiculous nonsense. They said like North Korea claims to have a drug that cures AIDS that has gold and diamonds in it. And I'm like, no medical staff in the world is that stupid. That's just a ridiculous.
Oh yeah, like for me, it was always like these officials that were dead, but then would come back alive to like everyone they claimed that is dead and executed. It was like with a ballistic missile, and you're like, but he's here eating dinner with Putin, so you're just making shit. And it seems like
they put him on like the national television just like in a week, and they're like,
yeah, exactly. And it's just like, Jesus, stop it. And I think this is my thing, is that Putin has hinted about them. Well, Putin and the Kazakhstani, is he president, prime minister, whatever he is, and China have hinted that they've like cracked.
Head of state. Yeah.
What? Yeah, the Kazakhstan.
Head of state, sure.
Yeah, all of them like have hinted that they've cracked some kind of encryption thingy that the US used to use, and they can so that's my guess, is that they're not getting any intelligence, and it's even worse because they can't even spy anymore. And so now that's my theory of why they're getting more and more unhinged.
Yeah. If you break like the other person's cryptography, like you just doxed their entire operation, they have to like rebuild it. They can't really use that many of the same elements.
Yeah, it seems like they've just because of the confidence, like Argentina today is like the president of Argentina is like talking to Putin, and he's like, oh, we want to get out of the IMF and under the acts of the US. Like, I think that a lot of people have been able to crack whatever the encryption like thing is.
Or the US, the resistance axis is just giving it to people for fucking because it's funny and it helps them. Like they're like, hey, would you like to be able to know who is a U.S. asset working in intelligence in your country? It'd be like, fucking right, yeah.
Everyone wants to know that.
Because then you can just tail them and like neutralize their war.
And you can just go. Well, China did though.
Yeah, when
China did it for the last one, they actually killed him right in front of the U.S. embassy, and they're like, that was like the U.S. was like, oh, they're doing it on purpose. They know who he is.
Yeah.
Anyways,
but yeah, like I think that's really a political decision as much as anything else. Like whether or not you want to like shake your dick in the CIA's face and just have them be like, I'm sorry for that ugly visual image.
Okay, let's get started on. Lenin. So we're hopefully on the last chapter of the Agrarian Question and the Critiques of Marx.
Chapter 9.
Mm-hmm.
Dairy farming and agricultural cooperative societies in Germany.
Oh yeah, this is like, I swear to God, this is like him like subtweeting Steiner and his stupid milk co-op. And this is like also him and like talking about why this is a great piece to understand why co-ops are stupid.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I'm a bunch of little pigs instead of a big pig. That's like what you say, right?
Well, yeah, but co-ops are stupid nonetheless. Yeah, whatever, however you want to say it.
Yeah, I mean, it's you're sort of like it's like reforming capitalism. Like, ooh, wow, that sort of like has a bunch of hard limits on how effective and useful it is.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Anyway, the agricultural population in Germany.
No.
Oh, okay.
We have dealt with.
Yeah, just starting. Okay, I was just reading. I thought that was a subheading or something. We have dealt with in such detail with the data on draft animals because these are the only data, apart from those dealing with machinery, which we have examined earlier, that enable us to obtain an inside view, as it were, of agriculture, of its equipment and organization. All other data on the amount of land, which we have cited, and the number of livestock, to be cited below, merely describe external aspects of agriculture, equating things that are obviously unequal, since treatment of soil and consequently its yield and the quality and productivity of livestock are different in different categories of farms. Although these differences are well known, they are usually forgotten in statistical compilations. The data on machines and draft animals alone enable us, at least to some extent, to form a judgment on these differences and to decide who gains on the whole from them. If the large farms use to a larger extent than the rest, particularly complex and costly machines, which alone are taken into account by statistics, then it is obvious that other types of agricultural implements, which statistics ignore, plows, harrows, wagons, etc., are of a better quality, are used in larger numbers, and, because the farms are bigger, are more fully utilized on the large farms. The same applies to livestock. The small farmer must inevitably make up for the lack of these advantages by greater industry and frugality. He has no other weapons in his struggle for existence, and for this reason, those qualities are not merely casual, but are always and inevitably distinguish the small farmer in capitalist society. The bourgeois economist and the modern critic who, in this question, as on all others, drags along at the tail of the bourgeois economist, the little Paul Krugman liquor or whatever.
Yeah. I was also imagining Paul Krugman, like at this point. I don't know why. Like my mind just projected this picture of Paul Krugman onto the wall.
Yeah. I was thinking Paul Krugman and then a New York Times writer clinging to his leg like a toddler and just walking around like just dragging his foot, picking it up. And,
Matt Iglesias. Oh my God.
Matt Iglesias writing think pieces about Paul Krugman books.
Oh my God. Matt Iglesias apparently was like, oh, Hitler was good for the London the London bombing was good for, I forgot what, real estate prices or whatever. And I'm like, are you
Jesus, what a psychopath. What the fuck?
It's like, yes, if you kill people and blow up a lot of, it was just an insane thing to say.
That creates so many new opportunities in the real estate sectors for mergers and acquisitions.
I know. It's like,
what we have is a delightful opportunity based on the fact that everything was just bombed.
Was obliterated.
For real estate speculators to come in and buy up the land stock and then speculate. Yeah. And just accumulate land rent by buying the things that were formerly buildings and are now piles of rubble. You should watch that movie, Germany Years Here. It's delightful. It's just, anyway.
Okay. But basically, that's exactly what
the tail of the bourgeois economy.
That's exactly what Maddie Iglesias said this week, though, dragging along the tail of the bourgeois economist. Yeah. But let's go on.
And the bourgeois economist calls this virtue of thrift perseverance.
Oh God, I hate that word. Etc.
That's that like struggle porn shit. Like this kid sold 500 packs of cigarettes to pay for his mom's
what about the homeless Girl Scout troops?
Yeah.
These homeless Girl Scouts are like selling cookies
to pay for his mother's blood transfusion.
Or these homeless Girl Scout troops is like paying for rent. Are no longer homeless because of all the cookies these Girl Scouts own. This was the real one from last week.
Isn't that like child labor? Like, are we not just recreating pauperism at this point?
Yeah, we are. But whatever. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so etc. CF, Hecht, and Bulgakov.
CF, Hecht, and Bulgakov. Ascribing it to the peasant as merit. Bootstrap pulling.
Ding, 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 ding. Lenin is so ahead of his time, or with his time, or things haven't changed.
Well, I don't know, Esha. Does your dad not own a bootstrap pulling factory that makes bootstrap pulling machines? Because my dad does, and it seems to me like you're just not working hard enough.
Exactly.
Yeah. The socialist calls it overwork.
Überarbeit. I don't know why he puts it. Why he puts it in German too, but whatever.
Maybe it was a common, meta.
No, I don't know. I think it's like a Lenin thing.
Under consumption and under consumption, putting both in German. Okay. You're saying like he does, like he goes to like Allah to like really like stick it to someone. Maybe he like goes to German for some other like rhetorical purpose.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Because you said like he writes as a multilingual person.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Maybe it's just to avoid being mistranslated. That would make sense to me.
That would make perfect sense. Like Putin is, oh my, exactly. That's why he does this. Okay.
So that way they can't be like translations away and make him say something really stupid.
Exactly.
Overwork and underconsumption, and holds capitalism responsible for it. He tries to open the eyes of the peasants to the deception practiced by the...
Hold on. The word for work in Russian is работает, but it literally means slaving away. So that's literally because rab means slave, and so работает is slaving.
Yeah.
So
like that, the newspaper Рабочая Дьявол.
That means the workers' daily.
Workers' day, yeah.
Yeah, or the slaves' daily, or whatever. There's not really a difference
the
between
slaves' daily. Ooh, that's a lot spicier than the workers' daily.
Yeah, I mean, there is not a difference between the word for work and the word for slave in Russian.
I wonder why they probably spent a long time where they really didn't need them. Anyway.
Yeah, okay, exactly.
Overwork and underconsumption. And all
so overwork is I don't know how to say. Подрабota. Yeah, you could totally say overslaving. You can mistranslate that very easily. Okay.
I mean, we literally have overtime in the United States. Like, what is that if not overwork? Overtime, like misery and a half. But you get more capitalism bucks. Oh my God, my boss is always like, "You want to do overtime?" And I'm like, "Fucking, of course I don't want to do overtime."
We're gonna pay 2.5 times for overtime.
I might do that for that.
Okay, go ahead.
Anyway. Overwork and underconsumption holds the capitalism responsible for it. He tries to open the eyes of the peasant to the deception practiced by those who deliver a Menelov orations, picturing social degradation as a virtue and thereby striving to perpetuate it.
Yep, exactly.
We shall now deal.
I'm just going to say, this is exactly it. Picturing social degradation as a virtue, which is what American society keeps doing.
Yeah, like this 14-year-old got a job at McDonald's, and why don't you do that?
That's like exactly. Okay, let's continue.
We see this like recapitulated in our media so thoroughly today. We shall now deal with the data on the distribution of livestock among the various groups of German farmers in 1882 and 1895, which was
okay. We'll show this table, and I guess we don't want to read through all of it.
Yeah, okay. And I can make a graph for that if you
Thank you. Okay. You do the graphs this time. Okay. Thus, the share of the total livestock owned by large farms has diminished, whereas that of the middle peasant farms has increased most. We speak of the total livestock, notwithstanding the fact that the statistics refer only to the value, because the statistician's assumption that the value of each animal is equal for all groups is obviously wrong. The data on value, which make it possible to add different kinds of livestock, the result could have been obtained by expressing all livestock in terms of cattle, but this would have entailed fresh calculations without, however, altering the conclusion materially, actually show the distribution of all livestock according to number and not according to real value. Since the livestock belonging to a big farmer is of a better quality and probably improves to a greater extent than that belonging to small farmers, and to judge by the improvements in the implements, the figures considerably minimize the real superiority of large-scale farming. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. With regard to certain types of livestock, it must be said that the diminution of the share of the large farms is entirely due to the decline of commercial sheep farming from 1882.
Cotton.
Oh.
Right?
No, it's a sheep.
Decline of commercial sheep
farming. Oh yeah, the conversion from the switch from wool to cotton as a commodity cloth crop.
Yep.
I've seen this a few times, so I'll just point this out. The word diminution, it's like a decrease. It's
like this shape?
Diminishment. Yeah. It's,
okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Like it goes like, like a negative slope. Diminution.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. It's like diminished, but it's a different like declension.
It's like the derivative of diminished.
Yeah.
It's like the first derivative of diminished, right?
Yes. I think so.
Okay.
Yep. Like if the rate of the quantity is negative, then it is decreasing or thereby diminishing. So yes, it's experiencing a diminution because.
So it is definitely a first derivative of diminish.
Yeah, you could say that fairly. Okay.
People learn calculus because being mad at math is counter-revolutionary. Okay.
Yes. And also, since you're a math person, you should have Steve Keen on and have him do his different EQ stuff for you because you would love that shit.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about him later. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a little bit too stupid for that math.
No, you're not.
Well, certainly I don't know it. I have to learn it.
Okay.
Thus, the share of the total livestock owned by the large farms has diminished, whereas the middle. Oh no, you already read that one. With regard to certain types of livestock, it must be said that the diminution of the share of the large farms is entirely due to the decline in commercial sheep farming. From 1882 to 1895, the number of sheep diminished. See, there's the from 21 million to 12,600,000, i.e., by 8,500,000. Of this total diminution,
the change in the diminishing is the diminution. So that is definitely the first derivative.
Yes, it's the noun form for the change itself.
Okay.
Of this total diminution, farms of 20 hectares and over accounted for 7 million. That's like 7 million out of 8.5 million. That's
it's like medium. Okay, so it is like in group 4 and 5, like the top two groups, the bigger farms. Okay.
So they really took the piss out of the medium farmers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Farms of 20 hectares and over accounted for 7 million, as is known.
For the 8.5 million. Okay, got it. Okay,
go
ahead.
So accounted for over 7 million of the 8.5 million. As is known, stock raising for the dairy product and meat markets is one of the developing branches of commercial livestock farming in Germany. For this reason, we took data on cattle and pigs, finding that the greatest progress in these two branches of livestock farming has been made on the large farms of 100 hectares and over. We could get into a lot of fun territory. Share in the total number of...
Go ahead.
Okay. Share in the total number of cattle and pigs has increased the most.
Okay, this is big. Hold on. This is because you need a lot. You need to have like a lot of land area to feed the cattle itself. So you can't actually feed your cattle if you're a small farmer.
Yeah, with the enclosure and then like the loss of access to communal grazing lands, and then you probably own like a little tiny like podunk little piece of land.
Exactly.
And what do they call it? Parcelized. That's Lenin's word.
And enclosures, whatever. But
you have to sell your land off because the bigger like kulak or whatever kind of asshole just keeps like taking your shit and indebting you. You should read My Gods, and he talks about this. Anyway, back to the thing. The greatest progress in these two branches of livestock farming has been on the large farms of 100 hectares and over. Share in the total number of cattle and pigs has increased the most. This fact stands out the more for the reason that the area of livestock farms is usually smaller than that of agricultural farms, and one would thus expect a more rapid development, not of a large, but of middle capitalist farms. The general conclusion to be drawn in regard to the number, not the quality of cattle, it should be the following. The big farmers have lost most as a result of the sharp decline in commercial sheep farming, and this loss has not entirely, but only partly been compensated by a greater increase as compared with the small and medium farms in the raising of cattle and pigs. So this is a transition in the composition of the agricultural stock occurring in this period.
When do you get like the factory farms that automatically
like food commodities production away from? Go ahead.
Oh no. Pretty soon you're gonna get the automatic machines stuck to the cows that make them bleed when you turn them into milk machines. That's not for another 30 years, though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, they're getting real nice now. Oh, the modern ones. The modern ones are like not even that bad to the cow. Like anyway, the big farmers.
And speaking of dairy farming.
And speaking of dairy farming, we cannot ignore the extremely instructive and, as far as we know, unutilized material on this question furnished by German statistics. But this concerns the general question of combining agriculture and agricultural industries, and we are obliged to deal with it because of the amazing distortion of the facts, which Mr. Bulgakov is again guilty.
Oh my God! This is the thing. We can't use this because everyone is guilty of amazing distortion of facts, like Ned Price. Like that's not even like facts. That's just like, what the hell?
You could just make a verb of like a Ned Pricing, and that would like. That would explain like so much other behavior. You wouldn't have to like describe his actions. You're just like, oh yeah, he's pulling a Ned Price.
Yeah, that's Ned Pricing. Okay, let's do that.
Ned Pricing. Yeah, it would be easier and harder to wear out than like any of these, like just calling someone a liar and a lot of fancy words. As is known, the combination.
Though I really disliked this person, but he did one great thing. He turned Santorum into a noun. I hate Dan Savage is like a horrible turf. And a liberal and a Hillary supporter, and just I hate him. But he made Santorum into so then
but he got Rick Santorum really good. Yeah, everybody go on Urban Dictionary.
I know everybody knows what Santorum is. Like in fact, mainstream news media is like sometimes like Santorum surges in an Alabama three-way from behind. They totally knew what that meant.
No, it's funny, but I mean, in case like anyone like in an international audience of your show or something, Google Santorum. It's
gross.
Yeah, it's nasty.
But it's good. Whatever he did. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. As is known, the combination of agriculture with the industrial processing of farm produce is one of the most outstanding characteristics of the specifically capitalist progress in agriculture. Sometime back in the Chalo, Mr. Bulgakov declared, "In my opinion, Kautsky vastly exaggerates the significance of this combination. If we take the statistics, we shall find that the amount of land connected with industry in this way is quite negligible." And here he comes to obviously to disprove this one.
This is Lenin's quote tweet now.
Yeah. The argument is an extremely weak one, for Mr. Bulgakov does not dare deny the technically progressive character of this combination. And as for the most important question as to whether large-scale or small-scale production is the vehicle of this progress, he simply evades it. Since, however, the statistics provide a very definite reply to this question, Mr. Bulgakov resorts in his book to sit venia verbo.
That is, may there be forgiveness for the sin. It means may there be forgiveness.
Resorts to this in his book, and then Lenin is like, may there be forgiveness for the sin. Like,
yeah.
You probably shouldn't cross yourself with a keyboard, but you get it.
Yeah. That's what he did.
Sit venia verbo. Yes. Cunning. He cites the percentage of farms, of all farms in general, and not according to groups, that are combined with agricultural industry in one form or another, and remarks, it must not be supposed that they are combined principally with large farms. Which, I mean, like Lenin has talked about the combination industry in Imperialism, the High Stage of Capital, in the opening chapter about monopoly. So
yeah.
He's like referencing his own work pretty hard right now.
No, this is way before. This is about 14 years before imperialism.
Damn, he's just like that consistent.
Yeah.
That's great. I love that.
I know, he's never wrong. I mean, this is like the thing, like with imperialism, he actually wrote it as like a anti-Kautsky thing about World War One. Like everything he wrote. I believe after 1912, everything he writes is anti-Kautsky about World War One, but whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So he's like, oh, for shame. He cites all farms and remarks it must not be supposed they are principally combined with large farms, which of course they are, because that's the entire point of combination industries. It's the large industries agglomerating monopolies. Yep. The very opposite is the case. Most worthy professor, that is precisely what must be supposed. And the table you give, which does not show the percentages of farms combined with agricultural industries in relation to the total number of farms in each group, merely deceives the uninformed or inattentive reader. Below, we give the combined data, to avoid filling our pages with figures, on the number of farms connected with sugar refining, distilling, starch making, brewing, and flour milling.
Interesting.
Consequently, the totals number of cases in which agriculture is combined with agricultural industries. And we get the following in this picture.
Okay, the big farms do a lot of combination stuff. Okay.
Yeah, let's see. So there's the total number of farms. Obviously, there's fewer of the larger farms.
Thus, the percentage of farms in combination with agricultural industries is negligible in small-scale farming and reaches marked dimensions only in large-scale farming and enormous dimensions in latifunda, of which more than half enjoy the benefits of this combination. If this fact is compared with the above-cited data on the use of machines and draft animals, the readers will understand the pretentious nonsense of Bulgakov's aphorism.
Aphorism. It's like a saying. Like it's like, that's how it goes, or like something like that.
Okay, an aphorism is a concise, terse, laconic, or memorable expression of general truth or principle, like time, I can't think of. There's like early bird gets the worm.
Yeah, that kind of shit.
Okay. On the illusion fostered by conservative Marxists that large-scale farming is the vehicle of economic progress and that small-scale farming is a vehicle of retrogression. Okay.
Okay.
The great bulk of sugar beet and potatoes for distilling alcohol was produced on the small farms, continues Mr. Bulgakov. But the very opposite in the case. It was precisely on large farms where they make vodka. What alcohol do they make with sugar beet?
You just get sugar and then you can just ferment it as a simple alcohol to make ethanol.
Oh, okay, got it.
Like all you need for alcohol is sugar.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Potatoes, wheat, beets, fucking, I don't know. Doesn't really matter.
Okay, so anything with sugar, it can be alcohol.
Yeah.
Grapes, okay.
Okay, so am I picking up at thus?
Thus. Mm-hmm.
Thus, we see again that the percentage of farms cultivating sugar beet and potatoes for industrial purposes is negligible in the small farm group, considerable in the large farm group, and very high in the latifunda. The great bulk of these beets, 83.7%, judging by the area under beet, is produced on the large farms. So again, this is another clear example of the total domination of the combination industry. Right?
Yeah, this is like the few steps before Monsanto owning everything. Okay.
Yeah, that like Monsanto. This is because they'll do like a distribution deal and they'll sell their corn to the corn syrup guys, and then everyone will have their high fructose corn made with Monsanto fucking seeds.
Yeah, exactly, but we're not there yet. We're at before that stage.
Oh yeah, this is where it leads.
Monopolists
or oligopolistic commodities like food.
So there's like a horizontal thingy where it's like you buy everyone who's like you, and then there's a vertical one where you buy, like if you're like a vodka producer and you buy all the potato farmers, that's like another second kind of monopoly.
Yeah, well, it's not necessarily a vertical monopoly. It's not necessarily all of the farms. It's enough of them to have a considerable market share, and then by having your own, refining and like final goods processes, like that's what makes it the vertical part.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
Which I think I've always found the term vertical integration to be a surprisingly honest capitalist word for what it is.
It is literally vertical integration.
Similarly, Mr. Bulgakov failed to ascertain. Yep, they're fucking like not bullshitting for once. It's not a euphemism.
Yeah.
Similarly, Mr. Bulgakov failed to ascertain the share of large farming and dairy farming. Yet this branch of commercial livestock farming is one of those that are developing with particular rapidity all over the whole of Europe, as well as being one of the characteristics of progress of agriculture. The following figures show the number of farms selling milk and the dairy products to the towns. And again, we'll put that up in the thing. Make that as a graph. Thus, here too, large-scale farming is in advance. The percentage of farms engaged in the milk trade increases proportionately with the increase in the size of the farms. It is the highest on the latifunda degeneration. For instance, the percentage of large farms, 100 hectares and over, selling milk to the towns is more than twice that of the middle peasant, 5 to 20 hectares. So it's 3.4% versus 1.5% of the milk production sales. The fact that the large farms, large in area, also engage in large-scale dairy farming is confirmed by the data on the number of cows per farm. 36 per farm of 100 hectares and over, and 87 on the latifunda. Generally speaking, the obviously capitalist farms, 20 hectares and over, own 41.5% of the total number of cows, whose milk is sold to the towns, although these proprietors represent an insignificant percentage of the total number of farmers and a very small percentage of the number of farmers selling milk to the towns. The progress of capitalist farming and the capitalist concentrations of this branch of commercial livestock farming are therefore an indubitable fact. But the concentration of dairy farming is by no means fully brought out by data on farms grouped according to area. It is clear a priori that there can and must be farms equal in area but unequal in regard to livestock in general, and to dairy cattle in particular. Let us first compare the distribution of the total number of cattle among various groups of farms with the distribution of the total number of cows whose milk is sold to the towns. So what we got? Percentage of cows whose milk is sold to the towns.
So thus we again see that it is the middle peasant farms which are the worst off. This group utilizes the smallest share of its cattle for urban milk trade, the most profitable branch of dairy farming. On the other hand, the large farms occupy a very favorable position and utilize a relatively large proportion of their cattle for urban milk trade. But the position of the smallest farm, which is most favorable of all, for they use the largest proportion of their cattle for the urban milk trade. Consequently, in this group, special milk farms are developing on which agriculture is forced into the background and even abandoned altogether. Out of the 8,998 farms in this group, which sell milk to the towns, 471 have no arable land, and the farmers possess a total of 5,344 cows, or 11.3 cows per farm. We obtain an interesting picture of the concentration of dairy farming within one and the same group according to the area of tilled land. If, with the aid of German statistics, we single out the farms with 1 and 2 cows each. Oh, okay. If the farm has 1 cow, he is assuming that they're going to be using that cow to till the land. But then if you have like more than that, you're going to be dairy farming. That makes sense. Because you're not going to want to make your dairy cow till the land.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So among the farms with a negligible amount of agricultural land, 0 to half a hectare, we see the enormous concentration of dairy farming. Fewer than one half of these farmers, 850 out of 1,944, concentrate in their hands almost 9/10 of the total number of cows in this group, 9,789 out of 11,255, with the average of 11.5 cows per farm. These are by no means small farmers. These are farmers having a turnover. Overall in probability, especially those adjacent big cities, of several thousand marks per annum. And it is doubtful whether they can manage without hired labor. The rapid growth of towns causes a steady increase in the number of such dairy farmers, and of course, there will always be the Hects, Davids, Hertzes, and Chernovs to console the mass of small peasants crushed by poverty, with the examples of isolated cases of their fellow farmers who've got on in the world by means of dairy farming, tobacco cultivation, and so forth. And these are inspiring entrepreneur, like blah blah blah.
But the thing is, you can only do it like if you're like a dairy farmer right outside of a big city. If you happen to, like, if you are located like in the middle of nowhere and not outside of Berlin, you're screwed.
Yeah, it's totally just a coincidence whether or not it's available for you to have it.
Yeah, because the milk rats.
Yeah, and they don't have, obviously, their refrigeration infrastructure is not.
Yeah, so you
they
only
have ice boxes, but even that's like.
Yeah, so you have to basically be close enough to deliver it to people in the towns. Okay.
Yeah, and delivering it to people in towns is a cart with fucking straw and ice and shit.
Yeah.
The 1/2 to 2 acre group of farms, we see that fewer than 1/5 of the total number of farmers, 1,200 out of 7,054, concentrate in their hands over 2/5 of the total number of cows. In the 2 to 5 hectare group, fewer than 1/2 of the farmers, 4,690 out of 11,049, concentrate in their hands more than 3/5 of the total number of cows. 19,419 out of 30,275, and so on. Unfortunately, the German statistics do not enable us to classify these groups with a larger number of cows, but even the data presented fully confirm the general conclusion that the concentrations of capitalist agriculture is in reality much greater than the data on area alone would lead us to suppose. The latter combination in one group of farms, small in area and producing small quantities of grain, with farms producing dairy products, meat, grapes, tobacco, grain, and certain general conclusions, hold good.
Tobacco and vegetables.
Oh, tobacco and vegetables. Yep. Okay.
On a large scale.
Farms producing dairy products, meat, grapes, tobacco, vegetables, etc., on a large scale. Okay, I'm going to do the whole sentence again because it doesn't make sense with it. The latter combined in one group, farmers small in area and producing small quantities of grain, with farms producing dairy products, meat, grapes, tobacco, vegetables, etc., on a large scale. This is, of course, like putting two things that aren't in the same group in the same group. Of course, all these branches occupy a far inferior place as compared with the production of grain, and certain general conclusions hold good in regard to the statistics relating to area. But in the first place, certain special branches of commercial agriculture are growing with particular rapidity in Europe, constituting a distinguishing feature of its capitalist evolution. Secondly, the circumstance referred to by its frequently forgotten with reference to certain examples or to certain districts, and this opens a wide field for petty bourgeois apologetics, samples of which were presented by Hecht, David Hertz, and Chernoff. They referred to tobacco growers who, judged by the size of their farms, are echt und rechte Kleinbauern.
Means small farmer. Klein means small farmer, but I don't know what echt und recht means.
Echt und recht.
Ecta und recta means I don't know. Let's figure out what ecta und recta means. Because I know that kleine Bauer means small farmer. I don't know. Dictionary. No. Google Translate.
The internet knows how to speak German. German English, because I'm an American. My government never taught me how to speak another language.
On purpose.
Yeah.
Okay. It means
real and right-wing small farmers.
Not right-wing. No. Real and right. Right as in opposite of left. No. Right as in real, like sturdy and meaty or something like that. Not right-wing.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, wait, Lenin has an annotation on it. Genuine small peasant.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess right-wing meant some other kind of different thing.
No, recta literally means right.
They're referred to...
Links means left.
Oh, right. Like, okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Wait, did I do that right?
They're referred to tobacco growers who judged...
Go ahead. I think I did the opposite to me, but correct to the audience. If judged by the extent of tobacco, yeah.
Yeah. They're referred to tobacco growers who, judged by the size of their farms, are real peasants. But if they, judged by the extent of their tobacco plantations, are by no means small farmers. Moreover, if we examine data on tobacco growing separately, we shall find capitalist concentration in this area also. For instance, the total number of tobacco growers in Germany in 1898 was estimated at 139,000, with a cultivation of 17,600 hectares of tobacco land. But of these 139,000, some 88,000 or 63% together owned not more than 3,300 hectares, only 1/5 of the total area of land under tobacco cultivation. The other 4/5 were in the hands of 37% of the tobacco growers. I bet, there'd be another...
You're having a cartelization here, where it's becoming a small cartel.
Yeah, the oligopolistic phase before, duper formal monopoly.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the fucking IG Farben or whatever.
Yeah.
Fascistic person. The same applies to grape growing. As a general rule, the area of the average vineyard in Germany, for example, is very small, 0.36 hectares. 344,850 growers and 126,109 hectares of vineyards. But the vineyards are distributed as follows. 49% of the growers with 20 or fewer areas are heirs of vineyards.
Ours. I don't know what they mean. Whatever measure of ours is like some sort ours of vineyard.
Like
I don't
rows. Ours of vineyards. Some kind of number of grapes.
Vineyards are by the terroir, which is like a French term. Some sort of measurement about vineyards.
Yeah. So how many feet of vines or maybe some shit like that.
Yeah. Something French and measurement of how you measure vineyards. Okay.
Yeah. But the vineyards are distributed as follows. 49% of growers with 20 or fewer heirs of vineyards have only 13% of the area of vineyards. The middle growers, 20 to 50 acres, represent 30% of the total, hold 20% of the 26% of the total area of vineyards, whereas the big growers, half hectare and over, representing 20% of the total, hold 61% of the total area of vineyards.
Okay, Lenin has an interesting footnote. Hold on, Lenin has an interesting footnote, and it says Lenin. Okay, it is of interest to note that in France, where vine growing is incomparably more developed than in Germany, the concentration of vineyards is also more considerable. However, we only have a general statistics on area to enable us to form a judgment. For in France, data is not gathered on individual farms, and the actual number of growers is unknown. In Germany, 12.8% of the total vineyards belong to growers owning 10 or more hectares of land. In France, however, 52% of the vineyards belong to this category of growers. Okay, interesting. Okay.
So it's the cartelization is in the further stage of development in France.
Yeah.
Okay. Still more concentrated is market gardening. Kunst und Handelsgarten.
Let's see what Google Translate. Why Google Translate says art and commercial trends gardening. Art and commercial gardening.
Which is rapidly developing in all capitalist countries in direct dependence on the growth of large cities, big railroad stations, industrial settlements, etc. The number of market gardening enterprises in Germany in 1895 is estimated at 32,540, with an area of 23,570, or an average of less than 1 hectare each. But more than half of this area, 51.39%, is concentrated in the hands of 1,932 proprietors, or 5.94% of all market gardeners. This is like the plant store that your mom goes to or whatever.
Yeah.
The people who grow their shit or trees or some shit, tree farms, Christmas tree farms, something like that. The size of the market gardens in the area of the rest of the land the big farmers utilize for agriculture can be judged by the following figures. 1,441 market gardeners have vegetable gardens ranging from 2 to 5 hectares, making an average of 2.76 hectares per vegetable farmer, and total land amounting to an average of 109.6 hectares per farm. 491 farmers have vegetable gardens of 5 hectares and over, making an average of 16.54 hectares per farm, and the total land amounting to the average of 134.7 hectares per farm. Let us return to dairy farming, the data on which help us to judge the significance of cooperative societies, which hurts regard.
Okay, we're going to change all the cooperative societies to co-ops so that people who are anarchists can understand how stupid their ideas are. Okay.
So that Richard Wolff can see in your comments or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Let us return to dairy farming, the data on which will help us to judge the significance of co-ops, which Hertz regards as a panacea for the evils of capitalism, which Richard Wolff, again from the top. Let us return to dairy farming, the data on which help us to judge the significance of co-ops, which Professor Richard Wolff regards as a panacea for the evils of capitalism. Hertz is of the opinion that the
it's to support, and is of the opinion that the principal ties to support these co-ops. This is Richard Wolff.
The Mondragon Corporation,
built under fascist Franco.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah, they were National Socialists.
Oh yeah. It was like started by like some fascist priest who was like in the Basque area, who was not like it's a weird.
It sounds just like the Lithuanians and the Ukrainians and all the other fascist irregular ethnic forces. Anyway, that's all.
Yeah, but he built a factory.
Squads, yada yada yada.
No, he did. I don't think he had death squads. He just had a factory, which he employed quasi-slave labor, I guess.
Hertz is of the opinion that the principal task of socialism is to support these co-ops. And Mr. Chernov, another Richard Wolff, who, as might be expected, bruises his forehead in the act of ardent prostration before the new gods.
This is, oh my God, so this is how he gets bruises. Oh, this is so good. I love this. Bruises on his forehead from the ardent prostration of his new gods. Such a beautiful, so beautiful. This is art and poetry and literature.
Into the floor.
Yeah, I love this. I'm going to start using this more often. Oh my God. So who do we use this on next?
Some lib who stands an MSNBC host or some media figure.
Benjamin Dixon.
Hard. And then Ben Dixon is bruising his forehead in ardent prostration for Don Lemon or who the fuck,
Oh no, for like he is like he had okay the other day he
he has a PhD
in international relations, which only turns you into a psychotic or like the only purpose of international relations PhD is to take a normal person and then turn them into Dick Cheney.
Yeah. Or to, inject some of Henry Kissinger's spinal fluid into their brain to make them a fascist.
Oh, no. Yeah, he literally takes a normal person and turns them into Dick Cheney. Where you're
it's funny because he always is trying to bill himself as some sort of like everyman, like.
But he's
got a PhD in international relations.
And when he talks about foreign relations, he sounds like Benjamin. Well, I call him Benjamin Nixon.
Benjamin Nixon. Yeah. Benjamin Shapiro.
No, Nixon. Benjamin Dixon. So Nixon. I say he sounds like Benjamin P. Nixon.
Yeah, Benjamin P. Nixon.
Anyways, the other day do you know about Terrell Starr? He's a Fulbright scholar in Ukraine.
Is he some like Ned Boy justifier of political violence?
No, it's even worse than that. Like he's like spent some. He was funded by the Fulbright. He was a Fulbright scholar in fascism. In Ukraine, and he is like, as part of his study, he went to these like fascist marches with fascist flags, hanging out with the Azov Battalion. And also said really anti-Semitic things. Oh, once he went to this this restaurant built on top of a former synagogue, and then he complained about, and everyone was like, "Wait a minute, this is an anti-Semitic restaurant." And then he was like, "Thank you for everyone who's trying to gaslight me, literally." And I'm like, that was not an apology, especially when you're talking about.
Oh, it was a fucking Holocaust joke. Yeah. Poor taste.
Yeah.
Gaslight something oven something.
Yeah. So he has a history of anti-Semitism, and of course, lo and behold, he doesn't like Bernie. I wonder why.
Oh, did someone take his grandfather's slave mine or something?
Unfortunately, no. Terrell Starr is like a total. But Ben had him on the other day on his show to discuss Ukraine, and I'm like horrified.
Yeah. Okay, where the fuck was I?
Mr. Chernov, who
who's bruising his forehead.
To his new gods, invented a theory of the non-capitalist evolution of agriculture with the aid of co-ops. This is like every anarchist. This is like ever. Oh, I'm totally going to say this to the anarchs.
Oh, yeah. We shall have a word or two to say on the theoretical significance of this sort of remarkable discovery. I feel like I felt like if I go dry as he's writing it, people won't know that I'm being sarcastic.
Okay. Yeah. Go on. No. Go on to the next one, because this is directly aimed at Richard Wolff.
Okay.
Next sentence.
For the moment, we shall note that the worshippers of the co-ops are always eager to talk of what is possible to achieve by co-ops. See, why
do you say co-ops like Sebastian Gorka? I don't know.
Because I'm making fun of Richard Wolff.
But
he says co-ops.
Oh, yeah. That's better, Richard Wolff. That's what he says.
Co-ops. Yeah. Co-ops. Yeah,
that's him.
You really separate the syllables.
Yeah. You got the second time. Now you don't sound like Gorka. You sound like Richard Wolff. Okay, continue.
We, however, prefer to show what is actually achieved by the aid of co-ops under the present capitalist system on the occasion of the census enterprise as an occupation.
Wait, I'm going to get a second refill. I need it.
Okay.
But you continue to read.
Okay. We, however, prefer to show what is actually achieved by the aid of co-ops under the present capitalist system. On the occasion of the census enterprises and occupations in Germany in 1895, a register was made of all farms participating in co-ops for the sale of dairy products. Fucking big, weird German word. Molkriegenossenschaften und Sammelmokarieren. I've got the second one wrong. Molkriegenossenschaften und Sammelmokarieren. The fuck that is. Fucking German dairy co-op, as well as the number of cows from which each farmer obtained milk and milk products for sale. As we know, those are perhaps the only mass data that determine with precision not only the extent to which farmers of various categories participate in co-ops, but what is particularly important, the economic, so to speak, extent of this participation, the particular branch of each farm in the co-op. The number of cows producing products for the sale organized by co-ops. We cite the figures divided into the 5 principal groups according to the area of farms. And of course, I'd say the 100 and over have 41% of the. They have a shit ton more cows per farmer. Like way more, like 20 times as much as the very small farmers. And the Latifunda have 45 times as much. Thus, only an insignificant minority, 3 to 5% of the small farmers participate in co-ops. In all probability, an even smaller percentage than that of the capitalist farmers in the lower groups. On the other hand, the percentage of large, obviously capitalist farms which participate in co-ops is from 3 to 7 times greater than even in the middle peasant farms. The percentage of latifunda participating in co-ops, fucking get tired of it, is the largest of all.
Yeah. So just so you know, latifundas are like plantation, like equivalent to like American plantations, and if they are participating in a co-op, it's called a cartel.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Largest of all. We can now form an idea of the boundaries of this naivete of the Austrian Voroslav.
Boundlessness, actually. He says boundless naivete.
Oh, of the boundless naivete. We can now form an idea of the boundless naivete of the Austrian Voroshilov Hertz, who in retorting to Kautsky states that the German Agricultural Cooperative Wholesale Society.
That's actually a short word for German. Whatever. I'm going to have yeah.
Fucking German. It's going to be so weird.
It's Bezugvereinigung. I don't know. Okay. I'm going to have somebody prove it.
It makes about as much sense to me.
Okay. With
Bezugvereinigung.
Whatever. Okay.
Yeah. With the largest co-ops being affiliated represents 1,050,000 farmers. Wow.
It doesn't make
From
sense.
which he concludes, what doesn't make sense?
The 1 million farmers.
Societies are affiliated represent 1,050,000 farmers. Blah, 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 blah. From which he concludes that this means that not only big farmers holding more than 20 hectares, who number 306,000, participate in these co-ops, but peasants too. So there's a lot of people in there, and because there's peasants, it must be all egalitarian or something, and not just like a cartelization.
I don't believe this 1 million figure. My guess is that Lenin explains how this is BS.
Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Hertz had only to ponder a little over his own assumption that all large farms participate in co-ops in order to realize that if all big farmers are members of co-ops, this implies that the number of the rest, a smaller percentage participate in them, which means that Kautsky's conclusions concerning the superiority of large-scale over small-scale farming, even with respect to co-ops, is fully confirmed.
Yes.
So yeah, obviously they're more efficient.
But still more interesting are the data on the number of cows furnishing the products, the sale of which is organized by the co-ops. The overwhelming majority of these cows, almost 3/4, belongs to big farmers engaged in capitalist dairy farming, owning 10, 40, and on the latifundia, even 80 cows per farm. Now let's listen to Hertz. We assert that cooperative societies bring most benefits to the small and smallest farmers. The Vorshilovs are alike everywhere, be it Russia, Austria, or the United States 100 years later. When the Vorshilovs beat their breasts and exert vehemently, we assert we can be quite sure that they are asserting that which is not.
To conclude our review of German agrarian statistics, let us examine briefly the general situation in regard to the number of agricultural population according to its position in the economy. Of course, we take agriculture proper, A1, and not A1 to 6, according to German nomenclature, whatever the fuck that means. We do not include among the agriculturalists fishermen, lumbermen, and hunters. We then take the data on persons for whom agriculture is the principal occupation. German statistics divide this population into 3 main groups. A, independent farmers, farmer owners and tenant farmers. B, non-manual employees, managers, foremen, supervisors, office clerks, etc. And C, laborers. The last named group is split up into the following 4 subgroups. Members of families employed on a farm belonging to the head of the family, like making your kids work where you work.
Yeah, that kind of sounds like I don't know. That sounds like not getting paid.
Yeah, it's not exactly slavery because it's your family, but it's
not getting paid for your work.
Don't have anything else for you to do,
and that you can't go to school. Whatever, father, brother. In other words, go ahead.
Yeah, just a lack of development of education and agriculture. Laborers, the last named group is members of families employed on a farm belonging to the head of the family, father or brother, etc. In other words, laborers that are a member of the family as distinct from hired labor, to which category all the other subgroups C belong. Clearly, therefore, in order to study the social composition of the population and its capitalist evolution, the laborers that are members of the family must not be grouped with the higher laborers, as is usually done, but with the farmers in the group that A, for they are in fact the farmers' partners, enjoying right of inheritance, etc. Other subgroups are C2, agricultural laborers, men and women, Knecht und Magde,
I believe.
And C3, Magde.
Magde. Let me see what that means. Knights and maidens, probably. Servants and maids. Okay.
Yeah. Servants and maids. Okay. Agricultural day laborers and other laborers, shepherds and herdsmen, owing to renting land. Consequently, the last named subgroup consists of persons who are at the same time small farmers and wage laborers, i.e. an intermediate and transitional group, which should be placed in a special category. Finally, there is subgroup C4, ditto, neither owning nor renting land.
They're just wage laborers.
In this way, we obtain 3 main groups. Yeah, just regular proletarianized, non-owners of anything. Owners of land. What?
Go ahead.
Okay. Farmers, owners of land at the same time, and wage laborers. Wage work, not owning land, non-manual employees, laborers, and day laborers. The following table illustrates the manner in which the rural population of Germany was distributed in these groups in 1882 and 1895. There's a table.
Thus, the active population has diminished only slightly. Among this population, we see a diminution in the landowning section and an increase in the landless section. Clearly shows the expropriation of the rural population is progressing, and it is precisely the small landowners who are being expropriated. For we know by now that the wage laborers with small plots of land belong to the smallest group of smallest farmers. Furthermore, of the persons owning land, the number of farm laborers is diminishing while the number of farmers is increasing. We see, therefore, the disappearance of the middle groups and the growth of the extreme groups. The intermediary groups is disappearing. Capitalist contradictions are becoming more acute. Of the wage laborers, there's an increase in the number of those entirely expropriated, as in like just made homeless and have to go work in a factory or whatever, while the number of owning land is diminishing. Of the farmers, there's an increase in the number directly owning enterprises, while the number employed in enterprises of heads of families is diminishing. In all probability, the latter circumstance is due to the fact that the majority of the cases, working members of peasant families receive no pay whatever from the head of the family, and for that reason are particularly prone to migrate to the cities.
Yeah, to become proletariat. If we take the data on the population for whom agriculture is an auxiliary occupation, we shall see that this active or self-employed population increased from 3,144,000 to 3,578,000 by 434,000. This increase is almost entirely due to the growth in the number of working members of farmers' families, which
okay. So let me quickly explain. This means that before, like if your wife could like stay home and take care of the kids, you could be a farmer, and I guess your wife could stay home, take care of the kids or whatever, and she didn't have to work. But now more members of your family have to go out and work in order for you guys to make ends meet.
Because you've lost your cows and anything that you had that would have advantaged your production because of the process of the combination industry rising to dominance.
Yeah, basically. And so now you're having let's say your daughters, instead of I don't know, going to school, they're going to a factory to weave baskets or whatever.
Or cloth or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
This increase is almost entirely due to the growth in the number of working members of farmers' families, which expanded by 397,000 from 664,000 to 1,061,000. The number of farmers increased by 40,000 from 2,120,000 to 2,160,000. The number of laborers owning land increased by 51,000 from 9,000 to 60,000. Wow, that's sixfold. Mm-hmm. While the number of landless laborers diminished by 54,000 from 351,000 to 297,000. This enormous increase from 664,000 to 1,061,000, or 59.8% in the course of 13 years, is further evidence of the growth of proletarianization, the growth of the number of peasants, members of peasants' families, who have come to regard agriculture merely as an auxiliary occupation. We know that in most of these cases, the principal occupation is working for wages, next in importance being petty trading, handicraft, etc. If we combine the numbers of all working members of peasant families, those for whom agriculture is the principal occupation, and those for whom it is merely an auxiliary occupation, we shall get the following. 1882, 2,559,000. 1895, 2,960,000. This increase may easily provide occasion for an erroneous interpretation
and apologetic conclusions.
Keep going for a while.
Okay, especially if it is compared with the number of wage laborers, which on the whole is diminishing. Actually, the general increase is obtained by the diminution of the number of working members of the peasant family for whom agriculture is the principal occupation, and by the increase in the number for whom it is an auxiliary occupation. The latter amounted to 1882 to only 21.7%, the total number of working members of peasant families, whereas 1895, they amounted to 38.5, which is exactly what I said. You're having people who used to be able to...
Statistics covering the entire agricultural population.
But it's exactly the thing I'm saying. Like people who used to be able to stay home are now having to go work in order to make ends meet. Thus, the statistics covering
well, I was going to point out a similar parallel. Like in the United States after World War II, and even like during it, there was the drawing of women into the economy, which, I mean, ultimately I think it's probably a good thing, but it was like, it was the same sort of conversion of people who were not like active workforce participants into wage laborers.
But it's only good if it's because they want to be working, not because
it's good in the sense that it allows like an easier path to economic autonomy for women. It's not good in the sense that everyone is like poorer now.
No, it's not good if it's like if men and like if women have to go in order to keep a roof over their head. That's just versus women having to go in order to have.
It's only good in as much as like they are now allowed to have bank accounts and own property and fucking be in charge of their shit.
I'm saying like but in America a lot of times it was to have a roof over their head, and that is kind of screwed. Because that's
ultimately everyone got worse off and poorer.
Exactly. Okay. Regarded the processes. Wait. Okay. Thus, the statistics covering the entire agricultural population distinctly reveal to us two processes of proletarization, to which Orthodox Marxism has always pointed, and which opportunist critiques always try to obscure by stereotyped phrases. These processes are, on the one hand, the growing separation of the peasantry from the land, the expropriation of rural population, which either moves into the town or is turned from landowning laborers to landless laborers. The other is the development of auxiliary employment among the peasantry, the combination of agriculture with industry, which marks the first stage of proletarization and always leads to increased poverty, longer working day, malnutrition, etc. Regard only from the external aspect, these two processes, to a certain extent, even tend in opposite, I think he means trend, in opposite directions. An increase in the number of landless laborers and the increase in the number of working members of peasant landowning. No, it's the same thing, because if more members of your family are working, it's to keep the land over your head, right? Like you need in order to keep that land.
Put land on your family.
You need more family members working just so that you make ends meet, so you don't get foreclosed upon. Is okay. For this reason, to confound the two processes or to ignore either of them may be easily led to the crudest blunders, and numerous examples of which are scattered through Bulgakov's work. Finally, the occupational statistics reveal to us a remarkable increase in the number of non-manual employees from 47,000 to 77,000, or 68.3. Simultaneously with the growth of proletarization, there's a growth of large-scale capitalist production, which requires non-manual employees to a degree, rising in proportion to the increase in the use of machinery and the development of agriculture industries, like accountants, for example.
So those like employees would be managers and clerks and shit, and like the functionaries of the capitalist system.
Like the paper shifters. Okay. Thus, notwithstanding his wanted details, Mr. Bulgakov proved unable to grasp the German data. The occupational statistics, he merely saw an increase in the number of landless laborers and a diminution in the number of landowning laborers, which he took to be an index of the changes that have taken place in the organization of agricultural laborers. But these changes in the organization of labor in German agriculture as a whole have remained for him a fortuitous and inexplicable fact, and in no way connected to the general structure and evolution of agricultural capitalism. In reality, it is only one of the aspects of the process of capitalist development. Mr. Bulgakov's opinion notwithstanding, the technical progress of German agriculture is first and foremost the progressive of large-scale production has been irrefutably proved by statistics to the use of machinery, percentages of enterprises using draft animals and the type used. the development of industries connected with agriculture, the growth of dairy farming, and so forth. Inseparably connected with the progress of large-scale production are the growth of proletarization and expropriation of the rural population. Expanding a small number of allotment farms and of peasants whose principal source is of livelihood is auxiliary occupations. The increased poverty among middle peasant population whose farming conditions have deteriorated the most. The largest increase in the percentage of horseless farms and the percentage of farms using cows for fieldwork. Consequently, whose general living conditions and quality of land cultivation have undergone the greatest deterioration.
Yeah, the hollowing out of the peasant class.
Yeah, I mean, that happens everywhere.
Like we've seen it in all of the areas of farming that he's discovered. Discussed. But yeah.
Exactly. You know what's really funny? I know this is totally unrelated, but today in Russian class, I was learning what like the teacher spoke about the word prosba, and I knew it meant favor, and I was trying to figure out why I knew it, and then I finally figured this out. So there was a time when Lenin forgets Stalin's name, and he's like, "Большая просьба, как зовут Joe?" He says Yusuf, and then he's like, "Очень важно," as in very important. Don't tell anyone else that we forgot his name. That's how I remember this. I was like, oh, okay.
So he liked Stalin, but he was like, what the fuck is that guy's name?
He totally forgot once. And it was funny how he tries to keep it a secret. And we forgot his name. And we
forgot. Yeah, the royal we.
No.
The socialist we.
The socialist we, yeah. Lenin doesn't use the royal we. He uses the socialist we.
Oh, yeah, no, he decapitated the royal we and left its body in an unmarked grave.
Yeah, he shot it. Yeah, the social, I love it. It is Lenin. You know, Lenin would be like, do you think Lenin would like you? I think he'd be annoyed by me.
Me? I don't know. I feel like you two would just go down like a little fucking like nerd hole of like talking about something that like 3 people on the internet have read about or something. And everyone else would be like that's kind of interesting, but like what the fuck are you saying?
Maybe. Okay, well,
I mean, you know, not that you can meet like a historical figure, but I think that you two would get along famously.
Oh, are you sure? Because I swear he would be annoyed by my hyperness and my and how.
Do you think that he didn't have some sort of
No, he had totally had ADHD
thing going on?
No, he 100% had ADHD, and he was hyper forgetful, everything. But I think that my version of it would annoy the crap out of him.
Who knows?
Okay. Yeah. If there's one historical figure I'd like to eat dinner with, it would definitely be Lenin.
I think it'd probably be Butler for me, just because it would be more entertaining.
Smedley Butler?
Yeah. He's just so fucking based.
I agree, but I don't think it would be more entertaining than Lenin.
I don't know. I mean... Okay. I mean, not that I would turn down either of them, but like, I don't know. Like, I find fascinating the people who are like high level functionaries in like a fascistic government, and then like, you know, totally turn around and pull the pants down on that government. That's why I'm such a big fan of AG. Like you look at Stockwell and like his body of work, and he also does a lot of cool stuff. But like Phil Agee, like really ideologically, like fucking makes a shift. And
oh my god, his movie company business. That's a good one. Well,
everyone should watch that. It's on YouTube for free, and it's good.
Oh, by the way, I, with the help of Katya Kazbek, subtitled the 1945 Soviet film called Oswiecim, which means Auschwitz, and we're gonna release it tomorrow. By tomorrow.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's a 20-minute film.
Okay. Everything I've ever seen that the Soviets did about the Holocaust is just fucking like soul-shatteringly brutal.
Oh my God, this one is also soul-shattering, and they didn't do much. They just like filmed it. It's like just having a camera there is so, especially in the East. What you don't realize is that they'll tell you about what Hitler did in France, and it's not so bad. I mean, compared to
compared to exactly like
I mean, in the East, they were like smashing babies against like woods, like they'd kill babies by smashing them against trees and just horrible.
Yeah, I think the greasiest one.
They exterminated the Croatians, do you think? Or
those motherfuckers are particularly scary.
I mean Ustazi, of course, not Croatians, but yeah.
Which one was it? They had like fucking like contests to see like how many people they could murder or something.
I think
like
that was the Japanese, actually.
These knives, and they were just.
That's
no, this
Japanese.
was European.
Okay.
Well, I'm not saying the Japanese didn't do that. I'm saying like this was also like one of these like ethnic like proxy militia groups, like your Iron Guard or some shit like that. I can't remember which one.
I can't remember, but I definitely know that the Japanese in the massacre of Nanjing had like a contest between two people of how many Chinese they could, like who could murder 100 Chinese people at once, like Chinese people first, and then after 150 they continue to go on. So I
mean, like it's no coincidence that they were repeating the same atrocities across the ocean.
No, I think they started the atrocities actually. They were a little. I mean, they because they invaded Manchuria like in 1930 something. I mean, like they started their invasion plan way like a few years before Hitler did. So they kind of started the atrocities.
Yeah. Oh my God. You should just do like a whole like something or other just about the fucking like Come and See, just like a review of it.
Oh God, I can't watch it again. I can't watch Come and See again.
Yeah, God, people need to watch it, even though it fucking sucks.
But okay, no, it does not suck. It's a wonderful movie, but you can't watch it twice.
Well, I mean, it sucks to watch it. Like the experience of watching it is very painful. Like it's as a piece of art, it's technically perfect. It's amazing.
Yes, but it's so realistic. And okay, so it's about this kid who like goes to his village and realizes that the Nazis killed every single person in his village, and he's the only one who's alive.
Yeah, it's like these two kids who become orphans, just like watching everything in their world.
And it's worse than orphans. Like literally everyone is wiped out.
Destroyed.
But this is reality. I have a video of a lady saying that she hid while the Nazis. This was a lady from Belarus, where she hid in like some sort of forest, and then later that night, some Russian or Belarusian came and said, "Run! Everybody's dead."
Yeah.
And
you're just like out like doing like any other thing, and like your whole fucking village just got like machine gunned or something.
Yeah. 600 villages were like I remember this like thing they tried to false equivocate where it's like partisans killed like 50 Nazis, and then Nazis retaliated by exterminating 600 entire villages, and it's like, wait a minute, people to villages are not the same unit. Like villages involve killing millions of people and whatever. Okay, but anyways, watch, please.
Like it's so hard to like recount like all of that shit, but it's just so necessary. Like you don't need to like do that much of it, but just a little bit of it to get a sense. Like anyone who hasn't like read the accounts of the camps or shit like that, just a little bit of it. A little bit of it, you get the sense.
I don't know what to say, but the camps are not as bad as what happened in the East.
It's a different kind of the fucking evilest shit you could think of.
Yeah. What happened in the East?
Whether or not you bring all the people to a camp and murder them, or you just go and murder them out in their village, or with a van, or with the.
Whatever. It's all horrific crap.
And then the van murder Nazi guy. I think he was either working for the Galen.
I don't remember, but it's like a mobile gas unit where they would like put these people inside a truck and gas them to death. And
pretty fucked up, even for Nazis. Like crazy.
Yeah,
funny.
But the thing is that, like in Western history, all of this is whitewashed so much. They don't even. They never talk about the East because they know that's where the worst crap happened.
Yeah, I learned about this stuff from my Russian Jewish friend who is just like, he's a fucking like Israeli right winger, like fucking nutter butter, but like, you know, he accurately remembers the history of World War II.
Because his family probably were lucky to be alive.
There's a good number of them that died in it. So he's like, you know, he showed me come and see, and I was just like,
oh God,
you know, that fucked up, but his goddess and all that is.
Well, yeah, I mean, but what I was saying is that in the West, they pretend nothing in the East happened. They like just don't tell you about all the gross stuff in the East, and then they're just like, hey, we came and liberated. No, I did not know this, but okay. So I think the Americans liberated maybe one camp, if you can call it that, or two, I forgot. British liberated like one or two camps, but the Bergen Belt, the camp, I had no idea. They had negotiated a truce with Himmler, and the British purposely like let like all the SS agents escape. Mother effers.
Yeah, I mean, they were probably just as much in on that like paperclip Galen-esque shit as the Americans were, but that also doesn't get talked about.
I know, but I mean, I don't know if you can call it liberation as much as changing of guards. But then 14,000 people still die of like some infection. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, and then there was, what were the British concentration camps during World War II? I can't remember exactly what
Not during, but probably before and after. There was the Boer concentration camps, and then they had ones in Kenya, and then like they would ship people out for life from India to like the Caribbean and whatnot. So they had a lot of stuff. I mean, they had the famine, Bengal famine in 1944. But whatever. It's just that like now I'm more upset that like the British take credit for liberating. Oh, and Winston Churchill was against. Oh, you know about this? Like he was against for obvious reasons.
Yeah, he was like fucking knob slobbing a lot of Nazis rhetorically.
No, he was against the War Crimes Tribunal for obvious reasons of not wanting
because they were his buddies.
Well, there was his hands were equally bloody. I mean, he's committed, like, if you have a war, like, it's funny, like, he would have to really, like, the Soviet, like, prosecutor came up with a big list, and then suddenly Winston Churchill would be like, oh, and the Americans would get together, and they're like, no, let's erase that, like, something, let me give you an example. Suppose the Soviet prosecutor said, stealing big diamonds from the occupied territories, and then Winston Churchill would be like, no, I don't think this is a war crime. Purposefully starving, this is definitely not a war crime. So they'd erase like all the they'd strike out all so that just whatever the Nazis did looked like a war crime, an excuse. But that's the entire contribution of the American British. But whatever. With that, see you live when I read Nadezhda Remembers, and thank you so much for staying up until midnight to read. We appreciate it.
That's fine. I'm happy to do it again.
Of course. We're thinking about our strategy next. Do we do materialism and imperial criticism, or do we take a break and we do a week with Stalin for dialectical and historical materialism, or what is to be done? I guess if you have an opinion, comment below. With that, see you live for me reading Nadezhda Remembers. Thanks again, Yuri.